you're not. I don't think the worst Gauntlet member. I'm not going to put that on anyone.
I will go ahead. I'll go ahead and take care of it, Kate.
Good job.
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fall of Magic Special Edition, late night, Sunday night, last game. Kate will be facilitating us. Kate, thank you so much.
And I will throw out a request that Kate play as well, because it works pretty well as being GM-less. I'd look forward to your explanation, to your descriptions here. This the way that I forget exactly who it was that described this one. Oh yes, it was Haley G of Story Brewers, and they were talking, I guess, on the Slack, maybe the ASPAC Slack, about games should have a self-indulgent bullshit rating, and this one gets a solid 5 out of 5. She said though Swords Without Master, after she'd been exposed to that one, was a 6 out of 5.
For sure, yeah. Swords is all about fantasy fulfillment, 100%. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna jump in, and since some people are familiar, I'm gonna kind of go gently, but also like, let's play, let's get into this. So before we begin, I would normally do lines and veils. However, with Fall of Magic, we don't really know anything that's going to be coming up. So we don't really have a lot to go on in terms of tone and content and all that kind of thing. Fall of Magic generally tends to be a bit whimsical, a little bit surreal and dreamlike. That being said, I have seen people amp it to like 11 on the metal scale real quick. And it usually gets pretty sad. So that's kind of what's probably going to happen. That being said, we will play with the X card. So anytime you're uncomfortable, type X into the chat or hold up your arms like an X. And we will fade to black, change it up, or end the scene, whatever you need to do, or take a break. If it's ruining your fun, if it's causing you any issues, if it's just fucking with the tone a little bit too much, I swear, and I'm sorry if that bothers people. That's basically the X card. Does everyone understand the X card?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Cool. Right. The other one we're going to be playing with is the open door policy, which is that anytime you can leave the game, even just like turn your camera off or just mute yourself or whatever, if you need to go take a break. And we won't pause the game, but we will welcome you back when you come back. So in other words, no one will chase you down, but you have full rights to be like, well, that got intense. I need to take a walk. Okay. So Fall of Magic is a story game. There's not a lot of mechanics. There's a die roll once in a very rare while. And it's GM-less, so we're going to be collaboratively telling a story of a group of people who are traveling across this world to the realm of magic. So the base premise is magic is dying and Amegus is dying with it. We travel together to the realm of Umbra where magic was born. Before we dive into choosing names and what we're going to call our title, I'm going to read some rules to you. Now, in the book, it looks like this. And normally we would each read a paragraph. But because I have it in front of me, I'm just going to read all 4. So it's like good game session should give you that feeling of excitement and connection like a good conversation. And all those same rules about being a good conversationalist apply. Listen, ask questions, bear witness to the things that inspire your fellow players, and let us know what inspires you. Think small. When it is time to make something up, think small and don't plan too far ahead. Let the story be a wondrous beast we chase but never capture. Ask questions with no clear answers. Raise conflicts with no ready solution. By letting go, the story we find together will be more profound than anything you might have planned alone. Social fantasy. Fall of Magic is social because play centers around characters, relationships, and exploration of culture. It is fantasy because things are possible that are not possible in our daily lives. This world will come to life if we treat the characters like they were alive, make them diverse, nuanced, and sometimes contradictory. Use this space to reimagine and explore without restrictions and stereotypes around race, class, and gender that we experience outside of the game. Safety first. Lastly, your emotional safety is more important than any game. So if something comes up in the story or at the table that makes you feel uncomfortable or is ruining your fun, let us know. We can change that detail, fade to black, or take a break if needed. Likewise, check in with your fellow players before introducing an element to the story that you know might be difficult or triggering. And that's all the rules. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose a name for our characters. So your choices are Harp, Cabu, Elamura, Justice, Vago, Fawn, Caspian, Piccolo, or River. If one calls to you, just claim it.
I'll go ahead and take the name River.
All right.
Did you read those again?
They're up here.
Yep. Harp, Cabu, Elamura, Justice, Vago, Caspian, Fawn, Piccolo, or River.
I'll be Caspian.
You will want to look up here.
All right, so we have a Caspian and a River.
And I'd like Piccolo.
Piccolo.
Will be Cabu.
Cabu. All right. I will be Fawn. So the next thing we're going to do is you're going to choose your title. Your options are the Apprentice, Golem, or Raven of Ravenhall, the Hero, Midwife, or Swineherd of Barleytown, the Heir, Knight, or Fugitive of Stormguard, the Giant, Ranger, or Fox of Mistwood, the Merchant, Scholar, or Crab Singer of Astalia. They mean whatever you want them to mean, so don't ask any clarifying questions.
I'm going to go ahead and jump. I want to be the crab singer.
Cool.
The Golem. I like the thought that Piccolo is actually huge.
Sorry, which one did you choose for Piccolo? My internet's a little spotty.
Oh, I'm sorry. Golem?
Golem? Cool.
Because
I'm in like 2 games right now with golems, and they are the coolest.
I think Caspian's going to be the heir of Stormguard.
Yes.
I will be the swineherd of Barleytown.
Cool.
That is Cabu. Cabu is. And is there a spot that you're putting these names?
Once we choose tokens, I'll do that.
Oh, cool.
So everyone chose someone from everywhere but Mistwood. Is that right?
Seems
I
to be.
believe that is correct.
All right, then.
Aren't you playing as well, Kate?
I am, yeah. So I will be Fawn, the Ranger of Mistwood. All right, so at the very top, there are 5 tokens. They are double-sided, but one of us is going to not have a double side, and I will be that person because it will represent the Magus. So I want you to look at those tokens. There's a tree that loses its leaves, ocean or a tide that goes out into the ocean, a sword that breaks, an egg that becomes a raven, and a candle that is snuffed out. I want you to choose one that you think represents your character.
Oh, this one's mine. I don't have a icon though, so I suppose I could log in just to be.
Wait, but you don't
Present.
need one. Why?
What?
It's okay. That's just your token.
Okay.
When we need to move one of our tokens, which...
All right, Nora,
So
what's
wait.
your character's name again?
Caspian?
There we go. Who's next?
I'm trying to figure out what this symbol is.
It's an egg.
That's an egg. No, I want the candle.
Cool. Do you want the snuffed out one or the illuminated one?
The illuminated one.
All right. And your character's name?
Piccolo, Golem of Raven.
All right. Who's next?
I'll go ahead and take the egg.
Character name?
River.
Not going to take the token that has a river on it?
You already chose the mate to it, so.
Does it matter?
Yeah, when I played this with Lou, I didn't even realize that they were supposed to be opposite sides of the same coin. They were just whatever.
I think I only know that because I own the actual game.
Yeah.
And the tokens flip over, so it's very dramatic in game when you're like, I'm playing this character and they're the sword, and then halfway through you're like, they're broken.
Cool.
But we don't have to play that way either. We can just totally say there are like 10 tokens.
Yeah, I think that's just how he played it because he has the physical game too. But I'll go for the broken sword. That's Kabu.
All right, cool. I'm gonna tree it up.
So you are the ranger.
Right. It's classic. And which one of these remaining tokens do we think represents the Magus or Magus?
The snuffed out candle.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Harsh. All right, so how play is going to proceed is we are each in our own time going to move our token to one of the locations around Ravenhall because that's where our adventure begins. So you can choose the scrying pool, the rose gardens, the menagerie, or the bridge. And when you put your token down there, you're going to describe the place. So if you're at the bridge, you would describe the bridge. And then you would use the prompt beneath to frame a vignette or a scene. You can pull other characters into that. You can pull NPCs into that. Or it can just be a really strong moment of seeing your character. In the case of the rose gardens, those little plus signs are kind of like tags in Apocalypse World. So it just adds a descriptor to your character. So you can assign it to yourself or you can assign it to anybody else in the game other than the Magus. It has to be like another player character. So you could go to the rose gardens and be like, wow, that Piccolo is sure beautiful. And then give Piccolo plus beautiful. It just functions as a descriptor for the character. Not all of us will have those, and they can change through play as we proceed. I'm going to quickly read the guides for scenes. Here are good ideas for scenes. Start with the physical description of the place. Use touch, smell, or taste in your description. Ask lots of questions. What does the rose garden look like? Or what is going on at the bridge right now? Leave plenty of space for quieter players to speak. Speak in character. Ask someone to play a part of your scene, like a fisherman, the wind, or a flock of birds. Describe a brief moment in detail. When you revisit a scene, show what has changed. Skip ahead to the part that interests you. Go back to something interesting we skipped. Ask for ideas. So if you're not playing in the scene because it's not your turn, it's our job then to listen really carefully to what people are saying and ask questions. Which is a little bit different than most other games, but this gives us an opportunity to flesh out the scene or ask open-ended questions or ask hard questions to find more out about the character. Okay, any questions around that?
The pluses that you were talking about, like plus beautiful or whatever, is that like just whatever we can come up with, or?
Well, there's 3 listed there. So the rose gardens have plus beautiful, plus legendary, and plus fierce.
All right.
Okay. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll be more than happy to jump in.
All right. So you're going to move your little token to whatever place in Ravenhall you're going to.
We are going to the river.
The bridge?
Yes, the bridge. River is going to the bridge.
Cool.
And I think it's a simple stone bridge. Ravenhall may be beautiful, may be simple. The bridge is functional, simple stones, curving archways, and river is going to be underneath where the water meets the land. And there's going to be just this lapping sound, and it's only when you get closer that you can hear them actually humming something in tune with the lapping river itself. And does someone want to play a passing fisherman or fisher person?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. And I think all the fisher folk know that River is almost always down here during the morning hours. And I think they all, it's kind of a custom to stop and ask River what the water is saying that day. As a crab singer, I think there's kind of a bit of a folk wisdom that they're more in tune with what the catches are going to be like.
So this is a young man. He's his father and his brothers also work the same river. He's got this large, almost roundish boat that's strapped to his back, and he's walking through the reeds, and he's got an oar in his hand and maybe a pail or something with his gear in it. And he stops and pays you respect, and absolutely, he asks you, what is the river saying? Will I have luck today?
Young minnow, throw your nets out wide today. Young minnow, it is time to catch and gather as much as you can. For the time is coming when this river will have nothing in it. No fish, no water, no rocks even. Go swim, young minnow. Go swim and catch.
Ill omens indeed. And he gets in his boat, and he sort of kayaks his way up into the river. He follows your advice.
Okay. And I think as the young one leaves, the water ripples, and looking into the water, we see River's face, and just each ripple seems to shimmer between a young face and an older face, and just back and forth on each one.
Which face does River believe is true?
River sees in other reflections the young face, but it's only here at the water's edge in the ripples that they see the old face, which they feel is their own. And I think that's my scene right there. Is there anything else I need to add?
No, that's great.
Okay.
Who would like to go next? And you can double up, by the way. 2 tokens can be on one space, or 3 or 4 tokens on one space.
Sure, but are those like separate scenes, or can you?
Usually, yeah.
Usually, can you? But so you can't like interject into other people's scenes. Then
you can, but that's not moving your token. Right. You could move your token there and continue the scene, if that makes sense. Like if someone says, this is my end of my scene, and you're like, okay, but I also want to now add my character and continue on this. Yeah. I've seen that happen too, because I've seen people spend like an hour at one location, so it gets a little wibbly wobbly.
Okay. I think I'd like to do that then.
Yeah.
Cool.
The general answer to can I do whatever in the game is yes, because it's self-indulgent bullshit.
5 out of 5.
Out of 5.
All right. So, as River is seeing his duality of faces in the water, he starts to see a third face, and that third face is not his own at all. It is a very young man, barely out of teenagerdom, and then the young man's face gets a bit less watery and a bit more solid, and a lot closer to River as this young man just stands up out of the water right where he was staring into it.
And River is going to be shocked, of course, like fall back on their ass, and like just for a moment they look a bit angry, and then they laugh, knowing that they've been gotten the best of.
Good morning.
Good morning, young crab. How's the water treating you today?
He looks down at the water and then looks at himself, and you might notice that he is a bit translucent, but he's becoming less so. And he looks like he was water at one point, and now he's becoming more flesh. The water is not treating me as well as it used to.
The currents no longer are as strong as they once were. Things are ending, it feels. It is not a feeling I enjoy.
You know, I once could become a wave.
Could you now?
Such towering power. Like, it would be leagues tall. Now, I'm lucky to be a puddle. If I join the river here, though, I can remember what it was like.
And there's just this slow, quiet nod. The river carries many memories. The currents will reveal things to you that you thought you had forgotten. It's why I come here. It's what helps me remember all that has happened and prepare for what will come. You should learn to accept it, I think.
Accept what? Accept that all the promises that my father once told me are never going to come to pass? Nah. There has to be there has to be a way to stop it.
You should fight and you should try. But if you cannot, it cannot. And if it can, it can.
Oh, I can. I have no doubt that I can. I must. Because what is there if I can't?
And I don't think River has any words to answer that they believe would ring true. Just this look of, this is what youth is like. What is Caspian feeling as River just kind of gives them this silent look?
Determination more than anything. The world is so, Caspian has only now started to become part of the world, and for him to just enter it only to have it snatched away is unacceptable. And he doesn't care what anyone else he doesn't care what anyone else tries to tell him. This isn't the end, not yet.
And River is going to get up and dust off his haunches and smile and clasp Caspian on the shoulder. It is a good thing there are those like you in the world. There are too many like me who would sit and think, I believe.
I would argue we need both.
Indeed.
Otherwise, people like me would just go off half-cocked and get ourselves killed, right?
And if they were all like me,
Caspian like kind of like gives you a friendly elbow in the side.
And if they were all like me, we'd all be as stones.
So we're in agreement.
Nod.
Would you agree with me then that it's time for breakfast?
That young crab, I am most definitely in agreement with. I hope they have eggs today.
Well, they'll certainly have fish. And he raises his arm, and you then notice that he has a fish in his hand.
Eggs are better, but fish are as good. You need both, I think.
And it seems like a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
I dig it. I like those two a lot. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Cool.
All right. So, as they start to tuck in on their breakfast, you see a slow rise of a mound of mud on the side of the river, and it grows larger and larger until there is a large clay man standing in front of you. And he bows slightly in front of both of you, and then rigidly stands and stares without speaking.
And River will look up and return the bow from where he's sitting. Did you have a good rest, Master Piccolo?
I did. It has been many years since I have seen the sun.
The way things go, I'd wondered perhaps if you had slipped off to a final rest. I am glad to see you amongst us again.
I think the time is right for me to, well, for us to act.
Question: What is Piccolo like? What is like very, very different for Piccolo now that they're awake again? Like, all the rest of us have seen the seasons change, but Piccolo has been asleep for a while. What's the big difference they notice?
Well, immediately the stones on the bridge and the growth around it, the river banks have receded so much too. There's less water here than there used to be, and it could be just a dry season, but the air doesn't feel that way. It feels like, as River had earlier said, eventually there will be no water here. Because with the fall of magic, this river will fail too.
And so River will turn. Young Crab, you remember Master Piccolo, do you not?
And Caspian looks up and up and up at Piccolo. Are we muted here?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Hey,
And makes what he thinks is a proper bow, but it's kind of off. He's got a bit to learn yet. And he says, "Good morning, Master Piccolo."
good morning, young Caspian. Much larger, I see you have been now.
Not quite as large as I could be, as I was telling River just now, but I'll get there. Just you wait. And he looks at the fish and then looks back up at Piccolo and then gets a little bit confused, and he says, "I would ask if you'd want to join us for breakfast, but I'm not certain if you eat. Do you?"
Not as such, but I will wait while you finish. Though eventually I think we should go see the mages. No?
Come to think of it, I have never seen him eat either. I wonder if is he beyond it? Well, more for us. And you can always be company while we eat, right?
I can. And then he just stands there silently, not actually being very good company.
It has been said that the presence of those who are called comrades can be as nourishing as food. Though perhaps it is more fun to move your lips among them than to move it around a piece of fish.
I have never found it that I have been a good enough companion that my companions forego eating. Not of their own choice.
There is still time. Perhaps this shall come to pass as well.
Well,
are there any questions?
How long has Piccolo been asleep?
$4 years.
Okay.
What about the world that he awakens to concerns him? Am I pronouncing wrong?
No.
Okay.
The magic is weaker, and I am a creature of magic. So I know that with its end will be my end as well.
Fair.
Well, shall we move on to a place where this can be cooked and we can get your eggs? And we can have your company, Master Piccolo. Hopefully, it'll be a place with very high ceilings.
I am ready.
You had a call scene there?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Kabu, you have somewhere you want to go?
Yeah. I'm going to go
Is
to
it the bridge?
No. I don't think. Yeah, I tend to buck the trend and not go where I'm going. I'll have my somber moments, solo moments, until we kind of get to know each other a little better, I think.
That's usually how it happens. I love this opening scene, though. It delights me.
Yeah, it's be great. I'll pester Nora to put in her the title, because I forget exactly what it was. Actually, we could just tend to that now. Just type in your title there and pronouns.
Oh.
I already put. Well, apparently, yes, you're a he.
Yeah.
So the menagerie. The menagerie. I'll wait for the clicky clacky to calm down. Problems of sharing.
That's the sound of magic dying.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Awesome. So Cabu, I'm sort of debating how weird to get with it.
110%.
110% weird.
Self-indulgence, 5 of 5.
Awesome. So what we see in walking through the menagerie is a big like a big sheep dog, and the dog it clearly has something special about him, in that he's the one outside of the cages, and the menagerie is a sort of a sad place for him to visit, seeing all of the not as magically touched animals trapped in their cages, with big iron bars that feel cold to the touch, and he puts his nose to particularly the one that has some prize pigs, and inhales deeply, enjoying the multi-layered scents of the hogs that he misses so much from herding them in Barleytown. And there's he closes his eyes, and we get a bit of a flashback to just a horrific scene of just a battlefield, with the farm burning, and the pigs being slaughtered as what do you call it? Casualties of war. And it's gross and disturbing, and I'll kind of fade to black there. So, but that was certainly the last time he had experienced real magic, with the fireballs and the sheer destructive force that magic had been put to in it, in what was most likely its height or its downfall.
Are all the cages full?
It's a good question. I think no. There's a couple cages that are empty, and they've each got just the name of some strange species we would not remember. Oh no! I'm hoping Kate just dropped due to a bad connection, and my awful story of pig slaughter didn't turn her away. I tried to keep
that very much.
Go ahead and finish your scene, and then we can wait wait for her to come back.
So yeah, it's just sort of descriptions of some type of fantastic. Oh yay, Kate's back.
Sorry, my internet died.
Okay, good. I was hoping I didn't put you off too much with the slaughter scene.
Oh, bring it on.
Okay.
I played horror games all weekend, baby.
Oh, great. Yeah, and I mean, of all people, I'm sure that you would X card something if it bothered you. So, yep, that's why it's there. I know you're not supposed to see it as permission to push boundaries, but I don't know. I like it for that reason. That's how it feels to me a little bit.
I think it's an escape hatch. You can go a little bit darker.
Yeah. Escape hatch, pressure valve, anything like that. But yeah, so Beryl had asked if there were any, if all the cages were full, and I said no. There's a couple of them that have little, plaques like menageries do to describe what the names of the creatures are, but they are. Kabu certainly has no idea what these species would be, and in the camera kind of like, you can see what they are, but they may as well be Greek, some sort of names of a long lost species.
Ask a question.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, during the war scene, was Kabu feeling in any way personally responsible for the way magic was being used for destruction?
No. Kabu is he. It's interesting to think about. So it's given me a little bit of kind of background stuff that I don't want to put out quite yet. So that question did help, but I'll just give it a simple answer in that these were the swine that he herded, and the destruction that was ushered in. He certainly did not want to see, or he was just simple, herding the dogs or herding the pigs, the swine, and all of this powerful magic seemed pretty seemed very foreign to him, and essentially like the only well, no, I don't want to give such a qualifier like that, but he being a smarter than average dog, that kind of intelligence came from someone with magical powers. But I think I'll want to say that they were once they imbued Kabu with this sort of extra intelligence, or maybe he was, I like the idea that he was sort of a former companion or familiar. So yeah, I'll put it that way. But I think he just doesn't know what would have became of his master. So yeah, I'll leave it at, rather than a definite no. It's somewhat of a question mark. Thank you. That was a great question.
Here's one. Is Kabu the only magical animal in the menagerie at the moment?
In the menagerie?
Or in that area? Whether in a cage or outside of it?
Ooh. No, well, yes. He's the only one, and that's because if there were other magical companions, I think the Magus would have wouldn't really stand for them being in the menagerie as I think his attitude toward the remaining familiars of magic is one of sympathy, and so that's why I'm left to escort him, and because I think at the end of the day, it's probably because we will both suffer the same fate. So, if there were other magical animals in the menagerie, he'd have let them out. Scene? No.
Cool. Everyone feeling good with that?
Mhm.
Right. Okay. It's one of those times where you've played the game so often, I'm like, I don't know how to do anything original anymore.
I've never seen you play it before, so it'll all be original to me.
Fair.
Sure.
So the scrying pool. I kind of picture Ravenhall as like a city, but definitely having its own grand kind of castle as the palace-ish thing, like the picture kind of portrays there. But the scrying pool is built off to the side and kind of off from the rose gardens. You follow this stupid, cute little pebble trail up. It's very like fairy trail-ish. And as Fawn walks up the pathway, there's a certain look of mild disdain for what's happening in this very fake, deliberately planted garden. And she walks up to the scrying pool, which is like someone cut out a piece of a pond from a very lovely location and picked it up and plopped it into the middle of this very formulaic stone structure. Nothing holds it in there but magic. So the water is self-contained. The few fish they got with it are contained in there, and it has its own little biosphere going. But magic is dying, and it's starting to leak, and algae is starting to move in, and it's starting to get kind of clogged and dark and clouded instead of very healthy like it normally is. And you can walk beneath it if you choose to. There's another level below where you can see up into it, but now that has become moldy, and when you breathe in the air down there, it's very thick. And Fawn is chosen obviously to go above because down there is very little to be done about. But she walks over to the scrying pool and looks in it and sees a piece of her home. She sees a piece of mistwood in this scrying pool. She's reluctant not to call a pond. And when she looks in it, she sees this whole process, this stealing of bits from other places that has made up Ravenhall. And she knows that with each piece of somewhere else, they took an allegiance, a promise of appearance should something go wrong. And something's gone wrong. And that's why they're there. And specifically, why Fawn is there. She was the poor bastard who was chosen to fulfill the duty of the Rangers. To show up and fix magic.
What was interrupted when you received the call?
Fawn is, by Ranger standards, old. And there's a ceremony done by the Rangers to end the life of a fellow Ranger, to wish them into the walking woods. That was what was going to happen. Fauna was ready to die.
What kind of obligation brought you to this? Was there an order or an oath or something like that I guess I'm kind of asking you to dig a bit more into that the pact that was.
Mm-hmm. How was she chosen? She is one of the last of the Rangers to remember that oath. So there was only probably 4 of them that could have gone and knowledgeably said, "I'm here for a reason, I remember." And of the 4 of them, she volunteered.
Why did she choose to volunteer when she was ready to die?
The last time she left Mistwood, there was a war. And that's bloody and smells horrible. And there's a level of guilt to that, to having only gone into the world to bring death. So being ready to die, she's also willing to sacrifice herself, which, given she knows the other realms and kingdoms and what they're like, she doesn't believe any of the other people that show up on this will be willing to do that, not even the Magus.
Who tried to take this burden from you, and why?
There's so many intense questions. Nameless. Harp did. And Harp is Fawn's sister. Obviously, Harp wanted to go because Harp does all the things. Harp is good at things. And it was one thing Harp could probably do well. And Fawn was too stubborn.
What is the obligation that you were sworn to uphold for the Rangers?
Other than that, when a call comes, we would all report? Like, is there something personal there?
Just to report, or is it to guide the Mages somewhere?
We were always told we would know what we were to do at the time. The Magus is very careful not to consign anyone to a particular fate. The Rangers are known for guiding. It is expected Fawn will guide them. Is that good?
I'm happy.
I'm content to let you in the hot seat.
All right, great. So what happens next is, now that we've all gone, the person who went first can now either move their token to a new part of Ravenhall, or they can pick up the Magus and we can continue to the next location, which is the Oak Hills. And that will continue to everybody. So we'll go through the continual order of people moving their tokens until someone moves the Magus after everyone's gone at least once. Does that make sense?
Okay. And I believe I was the one who went first last time.
You did.
Time to move the Magus.
Cool. All right, so what happens when you move the Magus is we're going to move over to the Oak Hills, and the options there are the Harper's Road, making camp by firelight, and at dawn. You're going to describe the movement from Ravenhall to the Oak Hills with the prompt of the ending of summer, not from your point of view of your character, but from the point of view of the Magus. Then what happens is we will start to place our tokens, and you will go last.
Okay.
Okay.
The sun rises, the sun sets. Normally, the Magus would only take interest in these matters as related to the spells they would cast, the energies they needed to harness. Now, as the equinox ends and the days start to become shorter, the Magus can feel it. The Magus can feel that each day is an echo of his life, growing shorter and shorter and shorter until all is dark. Yeah. Do you want me to continue on that, or do I need to elaborate anything more?
If everyone is satisfied, then I can end there. Unless people have questions. All right.
We got interesting results before putting off actually describing what the Magus looks like for as long as possible.
Yeah, I don't usually do too much with the Magus. I wait until someone pronouns them, and then I write down their pronoun.
I just like the idea that, you know, the prompt plus we're just going to talk about how they feel about these things. And then everyone's just reacting in relation to something they've done, but we aren't going to talk about it.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right, so who would like to go first? I'm just going to be transparent. Other than the person who moved the Magus, I'm always just going to go last. I've played the game a lot, so I like letting other people define everything before I go.
Fight you for it.
Bring it on.
The salt levels so high.
Take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess I'll go. I'm going to go to the Harper's Road here. And I'm imagining that the Harper's Road is the road that we are walking in on as we approach the Oak Hills. So we're all walking together with the Ranger Fawn striding purposefully in front of us as she leads us toward the hills that where we will plan to make camp for the night. And as the Magus was thinking before, it is indeed becoming very dark now. And Caspian brings up the rear. He's following behind somewhat thoughtfully, thinking about all of the tales he had heard from the people that he's traveling with, these people that are all so much more older than he is and so much wiser and have seen so much more. And yet all of them seem so very resigned to what they consider to be the inevitable fall of magic. The Magus speaks of its coming as if it were as inevitable as the changing of the seasons, as if it were the winter that follows after fall, which follows after summer. And as they walk, Caspian is trying desperately to think of something, anything that he could do or they could do to turn it all around and to bring magic back. And he's frustrated because everyone seems to have given up already, except for Fawn, the ranger, and even then only because she's been ordered to do so. And you think,
Question.
Yeah.
Does Caspian know death?
Oh yes, Caspian knows death. He's, after all, the Rangers sent Fawn, and I can only assume that Barleytown sent, well, Barleytown didn't get a chance to send anybody. Barleytown burned to the ground. I can only assume that Ravenhall's represented by Piccolo the Golem, and in a similar way, Caspian represents Stormguard in this party that is escorting the Magus.
So I'll jump in here, right, just quick to kind of like, I guess, X-card a bit in that I think there was a misunderstanding in that I think Barleytown, I don't think it would work quite well, or I don't know. I guess I'll just kind of like pause and see like, okay, does the group want to deal with like a totally burnt out Barleytown, and or my intent with that was more that like it had happened in one of the farms and Barleytown is rebuilt and still actually a town. I mean, because like there's a farmer's market and a farm, Matilda's farm, and the hospitality of the Barley Lord. So I'd like
to tell you stories,
especially since lots of people are new. It might be a totally experienced group of people to be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Barleytown's burnt the fuck to the ground. None of you make any sense anymore.
So might I point out that Swine Hill is described as a battle fought long ago. Maybe Swine Hill was the battle that. Yeah,
that was kind of what I was going for. Okay. In that, like, it's a nearby hill, and so like some of that farm area got fought in. But I think Barleytown, maybe. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to have like war, but not have it affect the town. But I think at least that part of the town, or at least the keep and whatever has maybe rebuilt. And we might not want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but sure. I just kind of wanted to jump in there and address that. I don't.
It could just be the rumor that Barleytown's been burnt.
Rumors leave a lot of room open to interpretation. So
right. As far as Caspian knows, it could just be a fucking black mark in the ground.
Yeah, I'm happy to leave it at that. Sorry, I just kind of wanted.
Yeah, for sure. Just a heads up, though, because I know you've played before. Try not to plan ahead like that. The rules are like pretty. The whole four of them are like try to stay very present and not. It's very hard having played it before. I know that, but try to not like plot too far ahead.
Okay. I was just kind of going with the first scene of being like swine from Barleytown, so I kind of just noted that one.
Sure. For sure. Just
okay.
I'll try and lay off that. Thanks.
All right. So, if I recall correctly, the question was, does Caspian know death? And I was getting to the point where I was going to say that Caspian would typically be one of the last people that Stormguard would have sent to represent them in this almost like ceremonious procession. because there's still some danger in sending someone out away from the safety of the mountains, but he is representing them because there is very few people remaining that could. His father is like he described to River back at the bridge about how he used to be able to be a towering wave and is now only able to be a puddle at most. And yet he is still one of the more powerful people in Stormguard. His father, on the other hand, can't even manage a drop. He's dust in the wind. He's a dried out husk. There's no water left in his father, or his mother, or any of his family. So yes, he's known death. And that perhaps only fuels his determination to avoid that of magic. Anybody else?
In all that dying of your family and of magic, what in that gives hope?
Well, I must admit, much of it is youthful exuberance and naivety.
Okay.
But also he was raised as the heir to the throne, and he was raised with such expectations that he would be a powerful king who would do much, and for him to come of age only to find that there's nothing left to do anything with. Well, that he doesn't know how to deal with that in any other way except youthful exuberance and naivety and fight.
That's great. That makes me really happy. This game's going to be so sad. So sad. Anyone else? No? Okay. Cool. Good scene. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone to morning ritual, even though it seems that should be after making camp. But I think we've been on the road for a few days, and the Magus has noticed that when Piccolo rises from the earth each morning, he finds some kind of reflective surface, and attempts to craft his face into human faces and other kind of faces that he's seen. And they always fall short, and he always eventually goes back to the drab plain face that he wears every day. But the Magus remembers the old days when his golem would be able to take any form and any shape and any face he wanted with incredible ease. And looks more and more like the clay man he was before the magic was put into him.
I'm sorry, did I miss if you mentioned what reflective surface you found?
I think he has a mirror of the magus and puts it back after using it. But if there's a still pond on the path we're taking or something, that would serve as well.
Has Piccolo ever tried to change their face?
Piccolo tries every morning to change face, but it's just not good anymore. It used to be good. He used to be good at it. Now he looks like something crafted out of clay.
In Piccolo's mind, what does the good face look like?
The face of his friend, Gareth, who he knew when he was a little boy, knew when he grew up to be a young man, and knew the day when his body was carried back from the Battle of Swinefield. Or what is that the name of the battle?
It is now.
Okay. So yeah, that's the face. That's the good face. The face he wants to replicate. Remember it. Any other questions, or is that? Let's see.
I believe that's seen, so.
You said that. I'm sorry. I do have one more question. You said that the magus.
Whatever you want to. Both. Yes.
Yeah. You said that the. I'll probably just go back and forth. You said that the magus notices you doing this every morning. Does he react at all?
You can see the magus watching Piccolo doing this. Of course, Piccolo borrows the mirror from the magus, but then he kind of walks away to sort of be on his own and try it. But the magus's eyes follow him, and you see him looking thoughtfully. But I'm not sure. What do you think the magus is thinking while he watches the golem be less and less effective?
Yeah, I think it's also kind of one of the concepts in the rules to bring in another player to play Magus if it makes sense.
Oh,
right.
Okay. I thought we didn't. Yeah.
Double checking with the actual facilitator here. Is that a thing
Yeah.
or remembering?
So it depends. I've seen both done because again, it's like it's one of those games where there's 4 rules. I've seen both done to great effect either way. Usually I'll have someone pull in someone playing the Magus if they don't know how they want the Magus to respond. If they have a particular thing in mind, I'll usually just let them narrate it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Well-
I think it seemed there like Piccolo didn't really know, or Marco didn't really know how the and he was kind of asking the group, and it was like, okay, maybe at that point.
Yeah, so
And
someone
since
should
you
jump in and
stepped
play
up-
the Magus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who would like to play the Magus?
I don't know. I thought Charles brought it up, right?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, you got
That's just
volunteered.
like you volunteered yourself.
All right. Get ready for things to be weird.
Yes.
I dig it. I like your weird.
So the Magus, whatever his physical form is, walks off and leaves Piccolo in some privacy as he tends to this. But I think what remains is sort of just a warm, just a bit of a glow. Actually, no, I like a face in the trees will appear to that sort of gives a wink at Piccolo to let it know that he's still sort of there.
Question. The face, is it the Magus's face, or is it Gareth's face? Or just a face?
I think it would be like a tree bark version of the Magus's face.
Piccolo practices winking back at the tree for a little while.
Okay. And I'm kind of okay with that, just kind of being it, unless other people.
We got a little bit of weird in it. Yeah, I'm good.
I dig it. Playful Magus. Anyone have something they want to do next?
Sure. While I'm here, I think I'll just be a little light-hearted here, and I think we'll just get a scene of the of Cabu trotting around the woods and picking up some of the dry logs to gather up some firewood, and some of them are probably a little comically big, but they're dry, so they're a little lighter than they look. And he's getting there's the crunch of the leaves as the four kind of heavy paws are bustling about, getting the wood stacked up in a pile for one of the humans to light the fire. And Cabu is very aware of fire safety, and and not to mention he'll take any excuse to dig, and so he just digs right in there and tries to sniff around for a spot where maybe something had died, or there's some other fun smells, and use that as sort of an excuse. I don't think he'll exactly talk, because hey, there's not anyone around right now to talk to, but he's he just digs in, and his paws are just covered in mud, and he's enjoying all the smells unearthed. He makes a big so we've got a big hole and a bunch of dry wood stacked up, and as far as Kabu's concerned, camp is made, y'all. So I don't know if I'm pretty sure the answer is we don't care. But like, does the tag have to kind of be justified in the fiction by something?
Ideally.
Or something in the fiction that had been seen before?
I got a question for you on this one.
Okay.
Well, can we get your question answered first before we?
I'll go with that. I kind of agree in that it whatever that tag would be should make sense for something in the scene. So then I'm kind of tempted to bring somebody in, but I'll certainly entertain a question first. Go ahead.
What was the item you found while digging?
Ooh.
And who did you give it to? And that's why I was kind of butting in with the question, because you can use that for your justification.
Great. What I find, would be a one of those utilitarian small steel mirrors. Maybe I'm a little stuck in my OSR headspace still from our last game, but has one of those adventurer staple Acme small steel mirror that he scratches up against, and he knows just the golem to give this to. And at about that time, I think Piccolo has wandered back to camp. This doesn't have to be like immediately following your morning ritual or whatever. It could kind of be the night before or another night. Presumably, there's many nights here. So
I would assume it'd be the night after, at least.
In
the original scene, he didn't have his own mirror.
Yeah, but if this is his morning ritual,
Time could be wibbly wobbly. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly time stuff.
Okay.
I mean, we travel together. If this is his morning ritual, I think I'd know. Oh yeah, he uses a mirror and has to bug the Magus every time for it.
So you bring me a mirror. I think Piccolo has seen people pet dogs, but it's an unusual behavior. Is Kabu concerned that, I mean, he's already had plenty of mud on him, but that Piccolo sort of smears mud on his coat and his head while he's accepting the mirror?
Oh yeah, he probably wouldn't mind at all. And so yeah, my intent there was, I guess, along with giving you a mirror to call your own, I would like to give you the kind tag.
Okay. So am I supposed to write that somewhere?
To not be used, and
I can add it to your little card so that I can look it up and remind you.
Okay. I don't know what to do with the tag, but cool.
It's just something that we all know is now true about you, essentially.
Okay. While Kabu was dragging a particularly large branch from the woods, what's the pronoun? He, him?
yeah,
Yeah. Was he startled when the starling that is not a starling called him a very strange dog? while sitting on the branch far out of his reach.
Yeah, he'd be pretty startled. He'd probably drop the branch and immediately look toward wherever the noise was. I'd imagine it has a little small birdie voice.
Yeah, and I think when you drop it, it flies up and lands on a nearby branch. Again, out of your immediate reach, you would have to try and do something. You wanted to catch him.
I'm having a bit of trouble with your audio, Marco. If there's a way you could clear that up, but at least repeat what you'd said.
How about now? Any better?
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Okay. Sorry, I must have lowered the volume on it. Yeah, I said I believe the starling like jumps off the branch and flies up to another nearby branch. You know, that's not in your mouth. Actually, like maybe attached to a tree. And he's just quizzically looking at you.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just kind of play questions off each other if that's all right. And I'll say, okay. What does he smell like?
Oh. There's a mustiness. Like something unpleasant is growing on the starling's feathers. That maybe it's sickness. It smells like there's a slight sickness in there, or a molting in the feathers.
Yeah. So I take a couple sniffs and then give a quick sneeze. And now I'm sort of looking, like cock my head and look with renewed concern at the little starling that's not a starling. And give it a little woof. It's special animal language.
Does the starling notice any kind of aggression from the wolf? Or is
no, it's not an aggressive wolf at all. I'll even also, since I think this it's a little bit easier when characters can talk, I'll go so far as to say that, you know, there's some minor kind of like an empathic telepathy of sorts, like a limited telepathy type. So they can kind of express feelings, and so he'll project this feeling of friendliness and curiosity. And I guess while that kind of lingers, oh yeah, I don't know. You're playing the starling here. How does the starling respond?
Do you think your companions can help? Something's wrong, but I don't know what it is.
They're an awfully pessimistic bunch, generally. But one of them certainly has a youthful optimism, and the rest are all certainly powerful. So I can't make any promises, but you're welcome to tag along, little bird. I'm sure they'll recognize you for what you are.
I think the starling goes and lands on Piccolo's head, who doesn't seem to notice.
All right, cool. Any other questions or expounding there? I kind of feel like I hogged up a bit.
All good?
No pun intended at all, I promise.
We'll throw you a bone this time.
No, I hate you all. There are rules in cake games.
What did he say?
We threw you a bone.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, I forgot.
No, not nice. No bueno. Terrible. Terrible.
X card, all puns, all future puns.
I can't. It's just mean to do that, but I want to so badly.
And not to mention half the time.
Maybe X card or next card.
Yeah.
No.
I will do my best. Honestly, I swear it was unintentional.
Uh-huh.
No, no. I'm the innocent one. You can.
It's been like an ongoing thing at Gauntletcon all weekend. Every time I'm in the voice chat, someone's like, "Let's make puns. Kate's here."
Can't expose weakness. No.
So one of the nights. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying you didn't go last because by the rules, River goes last.
I know. That makes you happy. Yeah. Hi. So after a few nights of camping, Fawn finally takes a minute to actually sit down with everybody by firelight, so everyone can be in the scene. There's no limit to it. But she notices this gross bird that's hanging out on the golem's head, and kind of looks at everybody and is like, "Who brought the death bird?"
Piccolo points at Kabu to indicate that he's the one who brought the death bird.
Yeah, Kabu just makes puppy eyes at Fawn. Kind of like and you'll kind of hear with that with the telepathy type thing. That can we keep him? Actually, it's more like, can we help him?
Caspian looks a little confused and looks over at Fawn and says, "Death bird?
It's sick. It's dying."
Oh. Well,
it's got disease.
Well, it's just like everything else. It's magic.
Yeah, but it's like dying sooner. It got moved to the front of the line. Hi.
Oh.
I'm a very serious ranger right now with my cat. Go away.
What about this disease concerns Fawn so much?
It spreads sometimes. A lot of magical things here. Just dying Magus. But it's cute.
I want to try to save it.
What does that look like?
A starling.
No. How does Piccolo try to save it, or is that just Piccolo's talking? Sorry, I might have misinterpreted.
Yeah, that's Piccolo talking, but yeah, okay. I think.
Okay, save the bird.
He's gonna just make the mud just grab hold of the bird from its legs and pull it down into his head, and I'm gonna hopefully let it come out and it'll be healthy and fly again. I don't know how we roll to see if magic stuff that I do works, but
I think we just decided as a group. Did you just horribly maul the bird, or do you?
Or did I save the bird? I'm kind. I tried to save it. That was my intention.
Would this be one of those rare occasions where a dice roll happens?
No, I think we decide what's more interesting. I think it's kind of more interesting if we shove things into Piccolo, they come out healed.
I think it comes out healed, but the pieces where it's been healed aren't flesh anymore. They're clay.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So
stupid broken starling.
It's now a clay pigeon.
Oh, damn you. Ah.
That was not on purpose. That was not on purpose at all. I'm so sorry, Kate. I brought this upon you.
Oh, we are not friends. So yeah, what's it look like with this little new, like, not death bird, stone bird?
It's a stone bird?
Well, it's partly
Well,
stone now. Clay.
Yeah, that's what we were saying, that you can put things in you and heal them, but they're going to be clay and rock when they come out, the pieces that you healed. And
so it will live, but it will never fly again. It's
your bird now.
yeah.
And how did you?
Now I have to take care of it.
How did you take it into yourself again? I didn't quite catch
He
that.
absorbed it through his head.
Oh, all right.
That's very alarming. Like, as a process, I think Fawn looks really concerned.
I don't think the bird was ready for it either. So, like, it just like got grabbed like the Hoda in Star Trek and yanked it in.
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was just doing something in character. What do you want to say?
I was. River is going to take this bird and look at it, having that kind of same concerned face.
Is it fine?
It's not real anymore.
What? What do you mean it's not real?
This is not a bird. This is the thing that looks like a bird, sounds like a bird, but it's not a bird anymore.
What is it then?
Turns and puts it in Piccolo's hand and like closes Piccolo's big hand over it. It's part of you now, and you're part of it. Remember to treat yourself well. And then River's just going to sit right back down next to the fire.
I think that's scene.
Yeah, I want to. I don't know if. Yeah, sorry. Looks like Caspian and I will fight a little bit over who might get the last bit in there.
Sure.
So, Caspian walks over to Piccolo and gently, like, not pries, but gently, pulls his hand open again so that the bird is visible again, and the bird looks a little squished now. And Caspian says, "Oh no, this is completely, it's clay, right? There's still so much potential here." And he starts molding it, and you can see as Caspian works it with his hands, the clay sort of like takes on a sheen as if it's getting wet, even though like the water is clearly coming from Caspian himself. And he as he works, he molds the detail of the wings and the feathers back into the bird, and rebuilds the beak and the eyes and the feet, and eventually the bird looks much more like a bird. And yes, it's still made of clay, but it's very well defined now. And once he's done, he looks at it, and once he's satisfied, he smiles and he throws it up in the air, and the clay bird flaps, and it looks like it's really hard to stay in the air because it's clay now and not feathers, but there's just enough definition in it to define it as a bird, and there's just enough magic now that he can laboriously stay up if he so chooses. He's not going to get very far, but he can fly again now.
Right. Kabu sort of looks up and kind of just conveys this sense of apology at the bird, apology and confusion, like, oh, well,
You're not sick anymore.
Yeah, just general. But then he sort of he sniffs a little bit and sort of like circles his tail, which he normally doesn't do a whole lot. But like digs his nose into his coat and kind of says, "Guys, I've got the smell now."
Don't go near Piccolo.
The smell?
Like the bird.
Oh. Yeah, don't go near Piccolo.
Does Piccolo have that smell? Or Caspian?
No, just me.
Oh.
A little bit out of character because I'm not sure of a way. Well, I guess maybe even in character it sort of works. I think this is. I think this might. This might be what fading familiars. This is the scent. This is the scent of fading familiars. I think he was just in a more progressed state than I was.
Well, then we will need to find a way to make you not a familiar.
We need to make you strange.
Because talking dog not strange enough. You're right. Things can get way more weird. We're at like a 2 out of 5.
Anything else people want to add to that kind of horrific scene? Caspian kind of scares me now.
What? I made the bird fly again.
It was just this terrible group effort to take this poor suffering animal and make it worse.
No, it's not worse. It's not diseased anymore. It just
can't fly very far or survive.
I'd like to defer back to Marco, who brought us the starling that's not a starling, and so I and maybe this is just a thing between the animals, but I mean, Kabu kind of projected that sense to the bird. Did the starling that's not a starling and now definitely not a starling project anything back? Like it's sort of a question, like an apology. You know, do I get a kind of response back from our starling? I'll just quit giving qualifiers.
I think the starling is glad to be alive. The starling knew it was desperate. It didn't have much chance to survive. It's lived far too long without a mage.
Like a cautious, hopeful thanks. Like you did what you could type vibe.
Yeah. Now save magic. Might be.
Yeah, now save magic so I can be a real bird.
All right, cool. River? Do a thing, River. We need to go destroy Barleytown.
I think you muted.
Hooby?
Oh, okay, I was muted. So, Harper's Road, Who You Left Behind. And I want to pull Fawn into this scene.
Okay.
And so we're traveling the last part of the road. And other than that one campfire scene, you and I have not spoken to each other since this journey began.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, everyone else has noticed that many times I've tried to approach you and then fallen back. And it's almost like the ocean tide. I would rise up and almost reach you and then pull back. Then almost reach you and pull back. And then finally, this last day before we reach Barleytown, as we prepare to go on the road, I think I finally walk up to you and just say one sentence. Your sister said to tell you hello. And then I start walking down the trail again.
There are like daggers in the back of your head. My eyes. No,
Any
that's
questions?
fine. No.
All right. That's messy.
How do you know her sister?
Yeah, what is your relationship to her sister? I haven't put that question. We all fail.
How do we want this to be, Kate?
You do you.
Yeah, this is your scene. Take it.
Okay.
Do whatever you want with my overaccomplished sister.
Oh. Your overaccomplished sister?
She's very good at many things, that one.
She is very good at many things. I know this because she was the one who killed me all those years ago.
Good for her.
Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. She was the one who murdered me in cold blood. That's how I know her sister.
Oh. All right.
Any other questions?
Yes. Why are you on speaking terms with someone who murdered you? You got over it?
Or was that a threat?
No. I think a reason I'm passing on this message is because... Why am I passing on this message? That's a very good question. I think it's because I'm trying to reach out to Fawn before something terrible happens. I feel like the water has told me that something terrible is coming. And a lot of it centers around the Magus, but part of it centers around Fawn as well. Whether it be her causing it or her receiving a terrible, terrible fate.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll throw out one. Has your appearance changed? I don't think I remember quite so well the face in the river. There were two. So is that how your appearance changed before and after death, or is it something else?
I think I look exactly the same as the day I died. Even though that's been many years ago.
Could you give me a brief, perhaps, reminder of what that was again?
Of what I look like exactly? Or
yeah.
No, it's a young I'm sorry?
Just in the present, how to picture you in these scenes.
darkened tan skin, blue eyes that just blue as the sea. Let's be tropey here. And short sandy blonde hair. And just very young face. Like maybe looks a few years more older than Caspian's.
Okay, yeah, that's good enough for me.
Just the kind of young boy you'd see down at the beach working on the fishing ships. But not a young boy anymore. And any other questions for our call scene? Okay, scene.
All right, who went first last time? Cool. Would you like to move your token to a new part of the Oak Hills, or would you like to pick up the Magus?
I believe I'm going to pick up the Magus.
All right, so the Magus is
Can
going
I
to move
take
on
a-
down to
But
Barley
just a
Town.
quick-
Wait,
Yeah.
What?
Can I just need a bio break just for a moment. Sorry? Or should I just...
Open door.
Sure.
Just go ahead and
No, let's take a bio break. I need to get more ginger ale, and I ran out of tissues, so
Okay, yeah.
my cold demands it.
Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
No worries.
A good time to call a break. Sorry, I didn't mean to try to trudge onward.
Let's come back in about 5 minutes, okay?
All right.
That's 11:52.
Get yourself a hot cocoa.
Where?
shit.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Back. Yeah, I was just asking her how she was enjoying it and if I pitched it well enough, and she's like, "Well, it's a lot sadder than I was expecting." And I was like, "I said nothing about this being a happy game. I said this was self-indulgent bullshit that had no crunch whatsoever. You just kind of basically 3 things: a name, pronouns, and a title, and
Away you go.
away you go."
Yep. Let's see if
Nothing about this being a happy game.
let's see if I get to alienate everyone else by the end of the game.
Who are you alienating?
Oh, I was joking about just like the moment between me and Fawn.
Oh yeah, with the sister thing. How did I forget? That was literally the last thing that happened.
A lot happened in the last 5 minutes.
Not really. I just complained about being kind of hungry, but it's so late that I shouldn't eat.
Yeah, I shouldn't eat either. And then I went and like got my cold tortilla and put some stuff in it.
Yeah, it's fun when you post in the cooking channel because it's like, yep, Texan.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's good. I don't know. I mean, it's like, yep, that's the kind of stuff that we've been cooking down here. You know, some peppers and eggs and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. Honestly, most of the time it's like, oh shit, I bought these peppers and tomatoes and onion and it's starting to go bad, so I really should like use them before they go bad. I live alone. There's a lot of desperation cooking.
Even with the 2 of us, I think half our crock pot of Mutter paneer is going to go to waste, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, it's free. We don't have room in the freezer.
We can make it.
We'll make room. I don't know. Anyway, everyone is back. Enough us shooting the shit.
Okay.
Was I too late to suggest that Caspian gets the clever tag for fixing the Starling?
I think
You
that
only assign 1 tag per scene that is framed there.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You don't assign all of them. You just assign 1.
And is it? Well, I didn't see a clever tag anywhere.
There was cunning.
Oh, cunning. I'm sorry. I read it wrong. Boy, I did that.
That's okay.
Okay, so it's my understanding that the tags are just when somebody has a scene at one of those those kind of tags. And like if another character went to making camp, so like I did my making camp thing and threw a tag out. somebody else could show up at making camp and do the tag thing?
Yes.
Well, you showed up at camp and you gave me the kind tag.
Yeah, that's
And
totally
then later.
That's within the rules. You
And
cannot
then,
tag to
but
yourself.
then once one of the tags at that scene has been given out, no one else can get those tags.
No. So what could have happened is someone else could have moved their token to make another scene at making camp, and another tag or the same tag could have been given out. But no one else made an additional scene at making camp.
It was all one big scene.
Yes. So had you wanted to give Caspian plus Cunning, you would have had to move your token there to frame a scene around making camp and assigned plus Cunning. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, Barleytown.
And you said that the person moving the Magus, or talks about moving.
You would describe
Yeah.
your
The hospitality of the Barley Lord, eh?
Yeah. Yep. From the point of view of the Magus.
All right. I know the image on here kind of implies that Swine Hill is on the opposite side of Barleytown from the Oak Hills, but let us imagine that it's on the opposite side and we would have gone through Swine Hill on our way to what appears to be an abbey. Yeah. In fact, it actually says that the old abbey, and the old abbey is where the Barley Lord lives. And so we crest Swine Hill and try not to be too brought down any further than we already are by the signs of the battle that was fought there. And even though it was long past, there are still scars on the land and on the people that live there. But the Magus is, like I said, studiously avoiding noticing this or bringing any attention to it. And he continues on steadily toward the abbey, where when the party crests the hill and comes up to the entrance of the abbey, the Barley Lord is standing in the center of the gateway arch, expectantly waiting for them. And the Magus slowly approaches the Barley Lord and stands, and they make eye contact for a moment before clasping arms in friendship and welcome. And then the Magus says, "I need a beer."
I dig it. Okay. Any questions before we say that's that scene?
I want to imagine, in since I know Farrell likes a bit of the Gonzo, we'll take a brief alternate history and not write this one into what's actually happening. But I almost in a different toned game, I would want like a scene kind of like from the movies where the group of young cats goes out drinking with the old person and having them a really great party time. But anyway, leave that for another history. I just wanted to throw out a silly idea to break up all the sad. Sorry.
Before it gets sad.
All I can think of now is Thor drinking Eric Selvig under the table. Carrying him back.
Very well. So,
right.
who wants to pick a scene in Bartley?
I'll go. So I'm going to pick the old abbey. And I think at this point, I think, Kabu, you're there with me. And I think it's midday, meals have been had, there's a bit of a rest period where no one's really doing anything. And I think you're wandering around. This is someplace different, someplace new, but it's also someplace that was home to you, yes?
Yeah, pretty familiar with the old town. I don't know if I would have actually been in the Abbey. I don't think they might have kept dogs out. So this might be a new fun experience with lots of new smells. The
And
rest,
I
think I'd be familiar with, but the Abbey in particular would have been somewhat off limits.
and River will be sitting there next to what used to be a reflecting pond. It's been years. It's got moss. It's got frogs in it. But there's still some bits where you can get clear water. And he's got his hand in there, just tapping the water and watching it ripple and then letting it settle and then tapping it again. And I think it takes a few moments before he recognizes that you're there at his side.
Yeah, and I think this game looks fun. So I'm going to go up and find a puddle of my own and splash in it and watch the ripples. Probably totally throwing off your contemplative vibe, but I don't know why you brought me here, so that's what I'm doing.
And I think, yeah, you've completely thrown off the vibe that was this blop, blop, and now it's splash, 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 splash. And there's just, you know, water flying everywhere. There's a couple of frogs running every which way. And when you finally look up from splashing around, River's just kind of watching you. Not in, and you would probably expect it to be like, they must be mad that I've disturbed them. But no, they're contemplating you. Their eyes are just watching what you're doing.
Yeah, Kabu kind of like it dives into the moment really quick and sort of like has the animal side take over a bit, but rather quickly realizes, wait, that might not have been what you were going for. It kind of like gives you that look like dogs do. Like, is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can hear that kind of in your head.
And River will reach over, and you're within arm's length. It's not a very big scry. It's not a very big reflecting pool. At least the parts that still contain water. And he's going to scratch behind your ears. And Just sometimes you need to disrupt things to make them better. Sometimes you need to break the patterns that are there so new ones can be formed. And just going to sit there for a while, petting this dog. Questions?
What does I think that whatever this magical illness is, I don't know if I should project too much, but I'll leave it open-ended, I promise. But whatever this illness is that's affecting the familiars, at least, if not all things magical, would have different smells. So while it smelled musty with the bird, I think Kabu kind of, like, he originally recognized it at the same thing as making camp, but to humans it smells different. What does it smell like? Your fingers kind of now are
For river being what they are, I think it smells like fresh blood. All that iron, coppery, spicy scent. Any other questions? Okay. Close scene.
Okay, I like that. What? Who wants to go next?
Where am I? Oh. If it's okay, I'd like to bring Caspian in.
Cool.
More than okay.
You don't have to move the token. That's kind of.
Oh, I don't? I'm sorry.
No, no worries.
Yeah.
So Piccolo has been at Matilda's farm. He doesn't know she thinks he needs something. He thinks she needs help. And so he's been trying to do chores about the farm. What way does Caspian stop Piccolo from making a mistake where he thinks he was trying to help?
I think. Well, I guess that depends on how Piccolo is trying to help in the first place. And since this is Matilda's farm, I'm guessing Piccolo would be trying to help her with her farm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you may correct me if I'm wrong, but while Piccolo knows much about the earth and things of it, he probably doesn't know so much about the human methods of agriculture.
Right. That would make sense.
So similar to how he behaved with the bird. He's trying to make the plants grow by covering them in mud, basically. And so, like, Piccolo is, I'm imagining him almost like skating around in the field, and as he skates, he just leaves like trails of mud behind him, and the trails cover over all the budding plants that are just starting to grow in the field. And Matilda herself she's standing in the doorway of her farmhouse, and she's quite beside herself. She's looking out at this gigantic creature of earth that's ruining her field, and she's like, she doesn't quite know what to do or say. She's like, this is something completely out of her experience.
Sounds like someone should be jumping in to play Matilda with this trio. I'll volunteer if Farrell and Kate don't want to take it.
Go for it.
Please have at it.
My fields! My fields! What are you monster! She used the M word, yo.
Oh no.
And Caspian comes up from almost seemingly nowhere and quickly runs up to where Piccolo is skating and like waves his arms up at Piccolo and says, no, wait, stop, you're not like that. The earth goes under the plants. And then you need air and water on top of them, and that's how they grow, right? We want the plants to grow so that we can eat them. And then he looks down at the ground and it's like, oh, this is a mess. I know. And as you watch, Caspian's body becomes translucent, and then not just translucent, but it completely like dissolves into just what appears to be nothing, but then quickly forms into the cutest little black rain cloud you've ever seen.
Okay.
And then it floats up over the field, and it starts to rain. And the rain very slowly will, like, it doesn't wash away all of the mud and stuff that Piccolo has put on it, but it at least like washes the plants off so that they're not covered in mud anymore. And he slowly works his way over the whole field because he's not a very big cloud. He used to be able to make a gigantic storm, but surely he waters the field, and maybe not all of the plants will survive, but it's a lot better than it was.
Okay. I think Piccolo says this used to be easier in the old days. Everything did, I suppose.
This used to be what?
Easier
in the old days. I could try to pull strength from the earth up through the roots of the plants and make them grow stronger.
Question. Was Piccolo the only one who did this in the old days?
I think there were many golems before magic was broken, but I haven't seen another of my kind for a very since the war. In fact.
All right. I have a question. What does Matilda think of Piccolo's offer?
Oh, okay, yeah. You were talking to Piccolo was talking to Matilda, saying that he could offer to encourage the roots.
Mm-hmm.
If we're okay with it, I'll probably turn it. I'll take this prompt a little bit at face value, and what she thinks you need it is different from what you think she needs. And so she, with a, she's sort of gotten over this monster idea, I think, after clearly weird stuff is going on. So she settles herself, and I mean, I think she's an older lady, and has probably remembers the time when magic was more common, and eyes you very carefully. And she'll say, I have not seen anything exactly like you, but if I remember the old ways quite right, and you seem to be I think you are the one that could use some help from the plants. I have a compost pile over there. I think you might enjoy resting in it a while.
Piccolo sinks into the compost heap like one of those old cartoons of someone sitting in a hot bath and then just and then and when Piccolo eventually leaves, I think the top of the compost heap is kind of gray from where he's drawn the nutrients out of the earth.
How does drawing those nutrients out of the compost pile change what Piccolo looks like?
I think it more changes what he smells like.
No.
Oh, man.
Kind of like
Matilda's the worst.
Vegetation rotting mostly, but yeah, other things less pleasant.
If your compost, as someone who knows a little thing about compost, if it smells bad, you're doing it wrong.
Oh.
Do you have worms in you now? Like, come on.
What?
But there's got to be a scent of like rich rotting vegetation in the compost heap, no?
Oh yeah, I just meant like if it's not necessarily bad. It's just sort of earthy, like the forest floor.
Strong. It's fairly strong earthy smell.
Strong earthiness. Yes, I'll agree. Sounds great.
Yeah.
That was
I just don't think it will make everyone else's dinner pleasant.
Anything else for that scene?
Just that as Piccolo walks away, like once he's done wallowing, by that time the rain has rained itself out and the cloud is gone, and the water that's on the field, some of it kind of starts moving toward the farmhouse and kind of coalesces into a puddle. And then the puddle moves along the ground and follows after Piccolo.
Question. What plant that wasn't native to here before will now grow and become known to the people here? It's a little long-winded. What new life have you brought here with these actions?
Corn. It gives them an alternative to barley.
Yeah, but I think maybe the kernels of the corn are more of a mushroom. So
More of a what?
like a fungus, like a mushroom. So each kernel of the corn is kind of a mushroomy maze.
Oh,
It's almost like Huitlacoche.
it's Huitlacoche. You brought the special fungus to the corn, and now it can be the delicacy Huitlacoche, which if you have not tried it, do so. It's great.
I'm in.
Benefits of living in Texas. We get to try Huitlacoche.
I hadn't even heard of that before.
I doubt very much it'll grow easily in Montana.
Yeah, it's a type of fungus that grows on corn and was kind of a staple delicacy of the Aztec Maya cuisine.
Cool. I don't think we have that in Canada.
No, probably not.
No. I love the fact that we brought Huitlacoche to Fall of Magic.
Magic. All right. Anything else to add to that scene?
I'm good with it.
Cool. Cabu, do you want to go or do you want me to?
I want to win this fight. Go, do it.
Okay. Is it winning if I just offer?
A little bit. I don't know. It's a shallow victory.
All right. So Oak Island, whose name kills me every time, used to be a very large island near Barleytown. And it has gotten smaller over the years as the water has worn away at it. And there used to be geese that nest here, and they don't anymore because where their nests were have deteriorated. And now it's just 4 great oak trees and a little bit of land around them. But the roots can be seen kind of coming out of the side of the island now. It's been long enough. And Fawn is sitting on one of the roots that are a little bit exposed and looking out over at Barleytown, remembering when Barleytown wasn't a town. It was a collection of 12 farming families in the vicinity who eventually formed a town. But back then, they were lovely. They were neighborly. They were giving people. She remembers visiting often and having friends, and she can see Matilda's farm, and she can see the Barley Lord, and can see generations of people who have come before them in their features. And that cycle of life and death and birth makes her smile. It reminds her of the things people do that aren't magical, that are beautiful, that she doesn't see amongst the Rangers.
Question.
Yes.
What gift were you given that made you feel as though you were a member of this community?
She was given a pig. Back in the day, there was this brief moment where she had a wonderful flirtation with a young person. And as a preemptive wedding gift, she got a piglet. Who lived to a ripe old age and died, like all things do. And it was fascinating to watch that pig grow and breed and have generations of pigs. It got very overwhelming, and she didn't like the long term of it, but it was also beautiful and touching.
So as a preemptive wedding gift, eh? So did she end up getting married, or did that fall through?
She's not a big one for commitment. She got cold feet and ran back to the woods, but she took the pig.
She can commit to the pig.
She can commit to the pig, kind of, but like then it started having babies, and that's kind of why there are wild boars in Mistwood now. Shit got real.
Spay and neuter your pets, people.
I didn't think about it. It's a pig. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Cabu.
Yeah, I think I just kind of want to throw in a bit of a, I don't know. Yeah, I'll be honest about it. I'm going to intentionally avoid Swine Hill since I kind of ruined that.
But you set it up. You have to go.
Oh, okay.
Follow through on your promises.
All right. Yeah, I fucked it up.
This is what happens when you plan
You
for the
didn't fuck it
future.
up. It's good.
Okay.
I want to hear it now, though.
Now I'm gonna fix it. Okay,
I was promised Swine Hill.
Yeah. So I'll move there. We were promised Swine Hill. Okay. So when we get to Swine Hill, Cabu pads along very quietly and somberly, and he enters this trance-like state. I think there's nah, I won't bring someone else into it. And he basically just kind of goes back into his old routine. Even though some of the buildings, actually, like all of the buildings are not really the same. I think there's a bit of a there's a rebuilt house, kind of made up of the ruin from the remnants on the hill where the farm was. You put the house on the hill, and there's actually like a new farmer there, but I don't feel like we need to have a ton of interaction with him. He just sort of gives a like, what the hell, dog? As this dog just basically waltzes right into the house again and kind of like starts his day there. And so he goes off to his corner and like lays down and then gets back up and then just heads back out of the house, probably stopping where the food bowl and the water bowl were, and looking down, and he even like bows his head down and sniffs, and it's just sort of a, oh, guess nothing's there. And he moves on, and he heads to the barn slightly down the hill where the pigs were usually kept. But it's basically not even a barn anymore. This farmer's kind of just barely getting by, and now the one remaining wall has been built as a lean-to, so that he's on the other side of it, across from the animals, and sort of just he goes around to the through the different stalls as if he's trying to kind of herd them out, and just kind of proceeds to sort of run around the fields, sort of herding imaginary swine, but they're all there in his mind. So the camera sort of shows these kind of like clearly imaginary pigs running around as he takes them to to greener pastures. And yeah, he just sort of gets lost in the day there until he rounds them all up and takes his imaginary pigs back into the barn and goes back into the home and does the same thing at the food bowl. And the farmer, it doesn't really know what to make of this. I think they're actually probably asleep. But it's the farm countryside, so you leave the door open and the dog would know the way in anyway. So, and he curls up in the spot again, and then he kind of breaks out of it. He breaks out of his trance and catches and sort of has his day, but realizes this isn't his house anymore, and he needs to move on. So he'll go and find the party somewhere. I think maybe that may have actually happened before he goes to the abbey back at River, where River was at the reflecting pool. So getting the scritches was a nice way to kind of decompress.
Did doing that routine bring him joy?
It was actually just instinct. No, I think joy in the sense that dogs like doing their duty. So yeah, he feels like he was able to just sort of he did his duty. It was almost like he was programmed that way. I think that's a bit of the magic kind of took over again, and he assumed his role of the intelligent shepherd dog.
When he realized that he was himself again, and the trance ended, and realized this isn't my house anymore, what did he miss most about the old house that he now has to leave behind again?
His master.
What was his master like?
Just a kind old man, as far as he knew. Had as far as Kabu knew, his magic powers were limited to things like true naming and a sort of imbuing sentience with animals such as himself. So as far as he knew, the magic was only as powerful as what he directly knew. He didn't really witness too much other magic from his master, but his master was definitely the one who had some control of magic. And he chose to kind of be a bit hermit-like as a swine farmer. He just really loved bacon. And didn't want to put in the work of herding the swine on his own. So he sort of programmed a dog to do it.
How can Kabu tell that the familiar fading that he noticed in Oak Hill has progressed further?
I think he's losing some patches of fur. He's and then yeah, he also seems to sniff a little bit less. It's like his own scent sort of offends him. Anything else? Okay, we'll call scene, and Caspian can move their turn.
Okay. At the Inn of the Axe and Fiddle. And I'd like to borrow both River and Piccolo for this, if y'all don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. Give us the scene.
Well, actually, not just them. Can I just borrow everybody? Because I imagine that
Yes.
we've all gathered at the the Inn of the Axe and Fiddle, on like some Friday night, some night where the whole town has gathered at the pub for a night of drinking and music and just general merriment. Maybe it's a holiday hereabouts, or maybe it's just Friday night and this is what everybody does on a Friday night. But we've all gathered there and we're having a drink, and everyone else is having a drink, and everybody's just, despite the fact, like, our group has been just very down and depressed, and we've all been noticing how the magic is fading away to nothing, and that's all we've been able to think about as we've been accompanying the Magus along. But we come to this inn tonight, and Caspian looks around and he sees all these happy people who are, yeah, sure, they might have some, you know, some bad things going on in their life right now, but overall they're still, you know, happy. They're still going on with their lives. They're still making the best of things. And he looks around and he thinks, this is what we should be doing. Because, and he says this to the group. He points out this observation, and he says, we are still acting as though we've already given up. And why? Like, why does it seem like I'm the only one that still considers magic to be a thing that is present and active? And at least Piccolo, he will try. And yes, sure, he might not do a very good job these days, but he still tries. And like, how's the Starling doing?
I think the Starling picks worms out of my body now that I've been in the compost. And so it's basically walking on me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't fly very well. And
so you've almost got a symbiotic relationship going on here now.
Yeah, I think it's Piccolo Bird. It might be Piccolo's familiar. I don't know. Is it? That's a question for you. Is the Starling Piccolo's familiar now? Or is it dead?
Our facilitator is speaking up as far as what the rules dictate, but I would just say that since you are both Piccolo and the one that introduced the Starling, that is totally up to you.
Okay.
There's no hard rules on that one. That's just kind of a what do we think? Let there be talking.
I mean, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and looks like a duck, call it a duck. So looks like Piccolo's familiar. So, and so Caspian points out that the starling didn't die. No, he's not a starling anymore. Now he's more of a piccolo. But he, it's not all bad. There's still hope.
I don't know that being turned into a golem's familiar with no sense of identity or agency is something I would call hope.
Have you asked the starling if he has a sense of identity and agency?
It's a familiar.
So is Kabu.
Yeah.
I would say Kabu has a sense of identity and agency.
Mm-hmm. Kabu, what'd you do today?
That was me. I like it.
Kabu just sort of looks like a sad dog.
Yeah.
He realizes where this is going. You're probably not wrong. That kind of thing.
But you're not wrong, Caspian. We all must be carrying hope of some sort. Some of us just don't carry it quite so loudly.
Do you even
And the starling is hopeful for me. Starling makes me sad.
Caspian turns to Fawn and he looks frustrated and he looks angry now. And he gets up from the table and he says directly to you, with that attitude, why are you even here?
I made a
Why
promise.
did you come at all?
I made a promise. Why are you here?
You're not fulfilling your promise.
You don't even know what I promised. You weren't even alive.
What good is a promise to show up if you don't follow through with whatever you were supposed to show up to do?
Are we lost?
That's it? That's all you were promised to do? Lead?
What did you promise to do? Splash people?
I think perhaps the Magus has been enjoying the hospitality of the Lord for too long, and our idleness has caused us to look at each other rather than the road. Perhaps it's time we convince the Magus that we all have a task to accomplish.
I
How
think.
much of this is his fault, after all?
What?
How much of this is his fault, after all?
Is the Magus's fault, you mean?
That's what I mean.
What I want to know is, we're leading the Magus back to the realm of Umbra, where magic was formed. And I've always thought that when the Magus went back to Umbra, he would be doing so in order to save magic and to restore it, to rejuvenate it. Nah.
Caspian.
Is that what he's doing? Or is he going back there to put it to rest. And if he is, why am I helping him? And then Caspian gets up and walks out of the inn.
Well, we got good and scolded.
We are starting to see a fracturing going on in the party.
Fawn shrugs and like finishes her drink and leaves.
And I think River is just going to sit there with the other two and just going to look at them like, what do we do? What item did Caspian leave behind in their frustration and haste that they aren't going to know there is missing until they're already far on the road?
A locket with, the kind that has a little hinge.
Mm-hmm.
Do you open it? Do you look to see what's in?
No, I don't think any of us notice it. I think it's just lost.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add to that scene?
Bad one. It's like skipping ahead.
Almost 1 a.m.
But yes, there is not a chance in hell we would have finished this game.
Okay.
Not at all.
I've done it in a 4-hour slot before.
Holy
Dang.
cow.
Yeah.
Not with all of the sidetracking we've done.
But it is like 10 to 2 where I'm at.
Yeah, it's about 1 o'clock over here. So
I need to work in the morning and I'm sick. So I'm probably going to tap out. But I could leave this open and you can keep playing if you want.
Yeah, we should probably.
We
call it
also
a night
have to
too,
work in the
so,
morning.
Yeah.
I think we've left it on a very interesting cliffhanger, though, with this discord in the party between the two most human characters and the other three who are most non-human, kind of trying to deal with it. And I'm liking. I wish we had another couple of hours worth of stamina in this, because I'd love to see where this would go.
I also like the suspicions that are starting to form around the Magus.
Thank you for facilitating this for us, all of you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good team effort. Sorry, I'm a little spacey.
Thank you, Kate, for the suggestion. I think it was perfect.
And I'm so happy I got to see this game.
This has been amazing, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight and being part of this convention. And just special thank you to Kate as one of the key organizers.
I did like nothing. I just delegated the shit out of that con. I promise.
As someone,
promise.
Although I want to ask, actually, did you get the cold like during the con, or was it clearly before?
Oh no, totally. It's COD cred from an online convention. I got it during the COD.
Tell Rach about that because in our way feels like forever ago, so many games ago on Thursday night for Gauntlet games now. The notion of getting con cred at an online con was brought up actually, and Rach, I mean, being medically related,
She's a pharmacy tech.
Yeah, was like, okay, wow, yeah. If anyone gets con crud from Gauntletcon, I need to hear about it. So be sure.
Oh, that's right, because she was going to do a special study.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. She knows. She's my girlfriend.
Okay. But yeah, as someone who does cons as well, the delegation is like one of the most important tasks.
Yeah, if things keep going this way, I probably won't be involved next year. That's a sign of ultimate transcendence, that you're not even needed.
Hopefully you can at least still join a few games, because playing with you is great, and I can't believe I've been with the Gauntlet for a year and a half. Well, I can because I don't join too many games, and I think sort of anyway.
I don't play either. I don't have time. I'm just like in the background of the Gauntlet being like, oh, we should do this, and we should do this, and we should do this. Gotta go.
The master puppeteer.
Doubly fortunate.
It's lovely to play with everyone and getting to actually hang out and talk and make sad magic. And poor Starling. Starling's gonna scar my brain for a while.
Good job, Nora.
It's so good. It's just like so terrifying.
I wasn't the one who ate it.
The whole thing from beginning to end. It was just terrible.
I must be broken. I was like, oh, okay. You know, in fact, let's have it come out, and now pieces of it are clay instead of flesh. We should totally do that.
That was good.
I was imagining it just completely clay.
Yep, it did this good transcendence thing, but just like every step of that to like consumed through the head, produced somehow with bits of clay, to Caspian taking it, slicking it with like Caspian weird storm water, turning it into a clay bird that can no longer fully fly, but at least it can flap enough to hold itself up. Like
there is some English. There is some English major who is going to listen to this and write a full report on like the multiple levels of symbolism. The fact that the bird went in through the head and then came out from like the womb of the golem.
Yeah, no, it was just like, especially as like a ranger of a natural world, that was just like everything in this is just so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Magic needs to end to put a stop to stuff like this.
Like this.
Right? Like,
Meanwhile, I think Piccolo is sitting in the inn with the starling coming out of his hand, going,
not normal.
"You didn't need agency."
Oh God.
What is it with the Gauntlet and having terrible, horrible bird abominations?
Is that a thing?
There was Pidgey.
What? Whatever.
The giant
Okay. Gauntlet tale from the old ages. One of our rangers was named Pigeonhead, and they had this animal companion that was this horrible, obese pigeon.
Oh.
Every time it would breathe, it would be like. And one of the key things about it was, as a way to defeat a crabman, they took their pigeon and shoved it in this crack in the shell. And then a little while later, like the crabman fell over twitching, and the pigeon burst out from its chest.
Well, she had to leave at that point, I guess.
Apparently, my internet died again. It's a sign. I have to go to bed.
The internet protected you from terrible pigeon stories.
I know. I caught the weird sounds. It was great and kind of creepy.
Yeah. So the idea then was born that the ranger didn't have an animal companion. This bird was like the demonic manifestation of some ancient curse, and he like had to figure out how to pass it on to someone so he could die peacefully.
Oh. Okay.
Yep.
I
So,
think it
the
came
Gauntlet,
from the
home of
Disney.
weird, fucked up birds.
Mm.
That's our tagline for next year's convention, people.
No. X card.
I'm gonna hardline that one.
Okay. That's fair. Everyone, get some rest. Thank you all for being here. Kate, once again, thank you so much for facilitating.
I kind of facilitated.
You were our guiding light of let magic die and sadness. So much sadness.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night.
And to everyone who has participated in Gauntletcon, thank you for playing, and good night.